Tuesday. I'm late because, I was busy. It's a good reason to be late. So today we're going to concentrate on 20 years of the Queen C2 nimzo-indian, although, I meant my games, because I know my games. Yeah. And then in 44 minutes-ish, we will be on Chess TV. So we might get some more viewers, or we won't. If you're watching on YouTube, then if you want to watch the stream live, instead of watching it on YouTube later, go to twitch.tv/GMBenjaminFeingold and watch it live. Then you can commentate and donate and spin in a circle. Now you can't spin in a circle. Terrible. All right. It says that I'm live and I'm not dead. Oh, wait. Oh, now it says I'm dead. Darn. You're watching this in the future, so I'm still alive or something. I don't know. Mainly or something. Proto-Human is subscribed. Good. Nokia is subscribed. Hello. That's good. Now, if we get one more sub, we'll have another train. Let's see. Yeah, considering Twitch is owned by Amazon, you would think they do stuff better. For example, it went from 0 to 57 viewers in 1 second. Good. Okay, someone did say one more sub. That is correct. Let's see. Trying to learn is speaking in gibberish over there. Hello. Coleman. God damn. Hey, Karen. This is a funny joke. It's the funniest joke you've ever heard. So immediately, 2 people subscribed. And I said, oh, one more sub and we have a train. And Coleman said, oh, one more sub and we have a train. 10 seconds later, he donated 50 subs.
What?
50. Now we're at 673%.
Oh my God.
You got to give 673%.
That's awesome.
Now, this reminds me of a funny story of my life I never told you.
I assume he's already been
Especially since it didn't happen to me. Now, I went for a job interview once, and then I walked in, and the guy's like, hi, and I said, is there any water? And he showed me, and I poured water, and it overflowed the cup. Yeah. And he said, are you nervous? And I said, no, I always give 110%. So that's Colmonosaurus making sure I can't give a lecture today because every 4 seconds we're going to hear, I guess it's more than every 4 seconds. Every 10 seconds? Yeah. All right, so that's going to go on for about an hour. Yay, Colmonosaurus. All right, now we're going to need to get some student loans for Rex. So if you guys can start some kind of fund, that way Rex can go to college. Go, Colmonosaurus, spending Rex's college fund. Yay. Yeah. Rex is like, yay. That was an accident, but it was a happy accident. Did you meet to give 5 subs and you gained 50? That is a bad accident. Yeah. Oh, you meant to buy 50 and then give them out when you feel like it. That should be easy to do, and I'm wondering if it's impossible to do. Is that easy to do, what he said? Buy 50 subs and then give them out piecemeal? Why wouldn't, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Did Rex really donate those?
Rex is his son.
I know. Didn't he say something before about he wanted to?
Oh, yeah, Rex always wants to. Now, here's what he wanted to do, and it didn't work. He wanted to buy 50 subs because it's cheaper, then give them out over a period of time. He didn't mean to give me 50 now.
Aww.
Right. And I'm wondering if that's even possible. By the way, tell me if I'm wrong, and I'm not wrong. If you buy things on your phone, bits and subs, it costs more than if you buy them on a computer. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's the case. Yeah. I don't understand why that is. 707. Wait, what happened? Did somebody else do something? Oh yeah, Hoop Sahaman gave subs. He did sub, and Feline subbed. We actually have 2 subs since the 50 subs were donated by accident. Born in Oz donated 5. Right, yeah, Apple gets their cut. That's correct. Yeah. Yeah, if you buy anything on the phone, it costs more. If you buy subs or bits, it costs more. Apple steals some of it. Yeah, I noticed that when I so I do it anyway. But
Yeah.
oh, so let me ask a question. Is it possible to buy 50 subs the way he wanted to do it and then give them out piecemeal the way he wanted to do it? Or was he doomed? Doomed! All right, we have 1,861 subscribers. That's the most we've had in a month. Oh, so this is funny. You ready for this? On a mobile phone, you can buy 50 subs and then give them out when you want, but not on the laptop. It's funny because right after I was making fun of Twitch and Amazon, that happened. Then you guys made Twitch and Amazon look worse. So thank you. Yeah. Now, I didn't tell Karen this, but I'm really proud of myself. I told Spencer. Spencer liked what I was saying. So I checked Twitter this morning. I'm going to tell you the whole story so you got the whole thing going. Check Twitter, and people complained that Afterlife did not get nominated for an Emmy. Okay. Then I was on the internets, and something said, check who's nominated for an Emmy. I'm like, all right. And I checked, and I was like, never heard of that show, never heard of that show, never heard of that show, never heard of that actor, etc. Okay. I would say at least 80% of the TV shows I've never heard of. Okay. Then I noticed that Curb Your Enthusiasm was up for an Emmy, at least one. And I said, well, using my grandmaster brain, if it's up for an Emmy, that means it's still on. It can't be up for an Emmy, but the show ended 4 years ago. So, okay. All right, Karen finally thinks she looks presentable. All right, now, I went to everywhere on the TV, Hulu, Amazon Prime. We have HBO, actually. I don't know why we have HBO.
Yeah.
And I did everything I could, and I couldn't watch. I've watched the first 8 seasons. I've missed the last 2. Okay. Now here's the funny thing. 2017 is season 9, and 2020 is season 10. Okay. And I missed season 9, and the reason I missed season 9 is I watched the first 8 seasons for free on like Amazon Prime. Then season 9 they wanted money, so I just didn't watch the show anymore. And I'm like, well, season 9 was a long time ago. Now I can watch it for free, but I couldn't. Everywhere I went, they said, give me money, or I could get like a free week trial, then cancel, but I can't cancel because when you cancel, they want a lot of information I don't have. Nobody has it. Even they don't know. They're like, I don't know. Okay. Then I did one. Now, HBO has 3 things you haven't heard of, although you may have heard of them. HBO Go, HBO Max, and HBO something else. HBO, whatever. Okay, so I tried the 2 HBOs and they're like, give us money. And they're like, tell us who your provider is and you can have it for free. And it didn't work. Then I did HBO Go was the last one I did. And they said, hi, Karen, whatever. And I was like, oh, good. And then it said, yeah, you want to watch it? Sure. So the last thing I did after trying everything, I watched it for free. Now, this is the funniest thing you've ever heard. I've never said that. HBO Go, which I'm using, will cease to exist in 3 days.
Oh.
They're disappearing off the face of the earth because they have these other HBOs. They don't care about that anymore. So they're like, this service you just got, like it's, when you like add a channel on, like Hulu, it's like this will disappear on the 31st and today's the 28th. So I like the way I found out how to do it. And they're like, by the way, this is going to end forever. So I'm like, all right, I got to watch, 2 seasons in 3 days, which should be no problem. So now you know what I was doing today when you were streaming with Spencer. Yeah, but I was watching it for free. Or I could pay $25 for the whole season or $15 a month. You see all that money I saved? Anyway, thanks to Colmonosaurus mainly and frankly. Right.
That's awesome.
Anyway, I'm watching it free. Okay. Right. And we have HBO, which I don't understand. I don't know what we have everything. I don't know why we have it, but I still couldn't watch it. I went to HBO on demand.
We don't pay for HBO.
I agree. I went to HBO on demand, and you can watch episode 1 of season 1 of the like million episodes.
Okay.
And I'm like, thanks, on demand. And they said, and this will disappear soon.
Yeah, we don't pay for HBO.
That's correct.
I think we've got
And then-
it somehow.
Now, here's what's funny about that. We don't pay for HBO, and we have HBO, and just today and or yesterday, the days run together for me, that was an episode of Seinfeld. When the cable guy keeps coming to Kramer's house and he like runs away.
I saw that.
Right, I just saw it.
I
And now that's what's happening. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because that's the same
All right.
episode as the Cadillac episode.
That is correct.
Which I had just been discussing on the stream with Spencer the other day, actually.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm watching season 9 of Curb, and it's great. What can I tell you? Yeah, I'm not old enough to watch it. There's a lot of bad language in there. Yeah. Okay, now.
I have to go home in a minute.
All right. Now, today, we're going to lecture on what it says. By the way, whenever I do anything, doesn't matter what I do, people in the chat are like, can you look at a Philidor game from 1910? And I'm like, Philidor died in the 1700s. Then they're like, when Smyslov played for the World Championship, can you show us the game and tell me why he made this move? I'm like, I'm lecturing on something. What are you doing? Okay. So today's lecture is on many games that I played in the Queen C2 Nimzo. And I want to tell you the story of the Queen C2 Nimzo, which I don't even think Karen knows. And if Karen did know, she forgot. There's no way she remembered this story. I could tell you this story tomorrow, you won't remember it. That's how memorable it is. It's really memorable. When I was 14 years old, I played in a correspondence tournament when it was actually correspondence. You would get a postcard and write your move and mail it. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I did that. One of my opponents was one of the top 20 women in the U.S. In slow chess, she was like 1,300. But she was like 2,200 at correspondence chess. So when I play correspondence chess, I get the move and I send a move, and I'm not trying very hard. So during the tournament, I had about 3 or 4 games finish, and then I withdrew and didn't finish. I probably played for about 6 months. Those games take about a year to finish. Mm-hmm. Now you play on the internet. So. Okay, now in that game, I was black in a Queen C2 Nimzo, and I got crushed. I got beat very badly. And I said, ooh, that's a good opening. I'll play that. And that's the story. Then that's it. Like, I've played 1,000 Queen C2 Nimzos because I lost in this correspondence tour that I didn't finish when I was 14. And before I was 14, I don't know what the Queen C2 Nimzo was. Now that's all I ever play ever. And I've beaten every Grandmaster on earth, including, but not limited to, Magnus, Fabi, Fischer, Capablanca, Steinitz, Morphy, Philidor. Okay, I've beaten everybody. Now, normally I would show you the most famous game I played in the Queen C2, which is, what's the most famous game?
I don't know.
I show it every day on my stream and talk about it every day.
I'm not good with openings.
But they'll tell you. No, Kasparov, terrible. Morphy, anybody?
So it's one that you played, or who? Or just
anyone? Anybody? Let's see if anybody else gave something.
What was the clue you gave?
The clue. I show it every day. Gelfand, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Mark made a good joke. So we're gonna. Let me see if anybody else did anything I missed before I start. Oh, Hoops Sahaman gave $9.99. Go Karen. Go Feingold. Go like a pro. Papa John's.
That's how you say his name?
No.
I made up a way. I say Heinz Superman.
Heinz Superman is correct. Yeah, he's like a Hawaiian Superman. Okay, Bob Geldof is correct. Now, for $1 trillion,
Yeah.
maybe that's the $1 trillion. Let's find out. Big money, Noemi. Stop. $9.99. Oh, I already read that because I looked somewhere else.
Oh.
I said that happened and it hadn't happened yet. Yeah.
Yay,
I predicted the future. Okay.
Hey, wait. Somebody says, what is that ringing sound?
What?
Maybe they're just meaning the dun 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 dun.
Yeah, right.
Well, come
that's him too.
Said that.
That's right. Okay, now Bob Geldof.
Yeah.
Which day of the week does he not like? You got a 1 out of 7 chance.
Tuesday.
Incorrect.
I don't know.
What about the Boomtown Rats? Which he was the lead singer.
I know, but what? I don't know the song.
See, Mondays.
Oh, Mondays.
Also Tuesday. I don't like Mondays.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't like. Now, what's that song about?
I don't know it very well.
Okay, so in California, many years ago, I'm going to say 30, but it could have been 40. It could have been 50. I'm going to say 30. A girl lived across the street from the school, and then you guys shoot the school up. And so most school shootings, you go in the school and you shoot them up. She was like at home and it was across the street. So they eventually arrested her without killing her. And they said, "Why did you do that?" And she said,
Oh.
"I don't like Mondays."
Okay.
Yeah, and then the
That was
QED.
a true story?
I didn't make that up.
Well, usually females don't shoot up schools.
Well, she didn't like Mondays. I mean, you know. Okay, she's going to shoot the whole day down. That's the one in the song.
Yeah. Is that the only female to ever shoot up a school?
I hope not. Okay. What? That's right. Okay, now let's look at... Hello.
Hey. Yeah.
Now, let's look at the game that I played with Gennady Sasanko. Now, even though this game was played 31 years ago, my opponent was mad at me after the game. And by after the game, I mean during the game. So when the game ended, I put my hand out to shake his hand and he started yelling at me. I don't think that's ever happened before or since. So, and the reason he yelled at me, because he explained why he was yelling at me, when the game started, we did not shake hands, which is unusual. I always shake hands with my opponent. And according to him, that's my fault because he's the older player. So he's supposed to sit there on his throne and I'm supposed to put my hand out and then he shakes it. So since we didn't shake hands, it was my fault because he was the older player. And then when the game ended, you know, he resigned. He said, "I resign." And I put my hand down. And he says, "Oh, now you want to shake, rawr," and mad. All right. Colmonosaurus gifted a sub.
Hey, bye.
Bye. Yeah. This game was played 31 years ago. And, yeah. Now, in this particular tournament, I beat 3 players on the Dutch Olympic team in the first 4 rounds. I beat this guy. I beat Paul van der Sterren, who you should have heard of, but you haven't. Then I beat somebody you haven't heard of, Rini Kaif. Now, for $1 trillion, spell Kaif.
Kaif?
Yeah. Should I just tell you? Then you'll be like, oh.
I can try.
No.
K-H-I-F-E.
That's pretty close. Kuijf. And he has a brother who's a FIDE master. Anyway, I beat Kaif. And his name's Marinus, but we called him Reedy because, you know, like that, son. Bye. Anyway, so I beat Kaif, van der Sterren, and Sasanko. I lost to Judah Polgar. And in round 5 was the famous game where I beat Gelfand. All the same tournament. So I had 4 out of 5. And then I finished with 5 out of 9. And I got my first IM norm. Okay. Right. Kaif F5. That's right. Right. All right. So I'm white. Now, I've shown this game many times. However, I almost never show the whole game. I just show one position. And when I get to that position, I'll be like, aha, this is the position I show. And then some of you will recognize it. Not most of you. I don't show that often. But I give it to my students for homework. Okay. And then people are saying funny stuff in the chat. I don't know. Liam keeps putting on Fallujah for some reason. I'm not sure what this is all about. All right. What? What's he doing? Why is Liam always putting on Fallujah? Man, somebody likes Fallujah. Yeah, but don't spam. Troy Haskin subscribed. I'm assuming the kangaroo's not here. Because, Liam, your children's children would have been banned by now. All right. Yeah. Okay, so it was a Queen C2 Nimzo. And the reason is all of the games were Queen C2 Nimzos. And at 9 o'clock, we'll be on Chess TV. So probably after I show game 2, we'll take a little break, a minute or two. I'll yell at the chat or something, and then we could continue. It's Cedric subscribed. Hooray. Okay. So he played knight c6, attacking my d-pawn. I defended it. And this is one of the games where I played bishop g5 and bishop d2. And I talked about this in a video I made recently because Magnus got the game of the day doing a similar maneuver against Geary in a different opening where he castled queenside and played g4 and so forth. And I've talked about that on the stream. Okay, so Sosonko did something that I think is quite smart. He delayed castling. If he castles, I'll castle queenside. I'll play g4, h4, g5, Papa John's. So he played queen e7. He was more interested in playing e5 than castling. I played e3, which is a little passive. e5, d5. If his knight moves away, queen a4 check wins his bishop. So he has to play the Zwischenzug. Okay. And white's better because white has more space in the two bishops, but he's trying to block the center. And in this position, I played the move h3 because I figured I was going to castle queenside and play g4 and so forth. Okay? And he played the move c6, and I changed my mind. I was like, well, if he's going to open the center and the queenside, I guess I won't castle queenside, I'll castle kingside. And I'm looking at the engine right now, and it agrees. Okay, so I took and played castles. So basically, we have a random, boring position, except I have the two bishops. So the engine says I'm ahead 0.5. Now remember, this game was played, I was a FIDE master, and I had no IM norms. And I was living in Brussels, and this tournament was at Amsterdam. Okay, so this was a 28-player Swiss, 9 rounds, and I think I was rated 26th or 27th out of the 28 players. Most of the players were GMs and IMs. 1 cent to do. That's why he's spamming. Now he's going to spam 1 cent to do. Wow. All right. He played bishop e6, developing. Good, good. Rook fd1. b6 is good. Okay. And here is sort of where I lost my way because it's move 15 and the engine likes the way I've played. The engine says I'm better by, quite a bit, 0.5, 0.6. And over the next 5 moves, I get outplayed and it's completely equal. Okay, I played b4. The engine says that's okay, not bad. Rook a c1, that's okay. Okay, a3 is okay. He played a5. And now, since I was a very young player, I was 19 years old. I played I don't want to say a nonsensical move, but it's not a good move. Okay, basically any move gives me the advantage here. The engine says queen b2 is 0.7, and knight d2 is 0.6, and so forth. Just, I have 2 bishops. I have a nice position on the queen side. He's got a backward pawn. If you don't believe me, you can ask Farnsley. And it's just pleasant for white. Okay, but I was 19, so I played c5, which gives away almost all of my advantage. Okay, and we traded some pawns here. Okay, and the engine still says I'm better. And then I gave up my 2 bishop advantage. The engine says I should play bishop a1 so I can start attacking down the c file. And in fact, it says I'm +1. It actually likes my position. What I have to do is not take these pawns. Is just maneuver around and take them later. Way too advanced for me, including now. So I played bishop b5 because that immediately gets my pawn back. I'm going to take this and I'm going to take that, which gives up all of my advantage. Okay, he played knight d7. Again, I should play a waiting move. I should play a creeping move. But at the time, Radiohead didn't exist. So Queen e4 is a good move. Knight d2 is a good move. Okay, but I'm 19, so I, take. Okay. All right. And now the position is about equal. Still says white's a little better, but it's not of any consequence. Okay, rook d6, queen b7, bishop c3, c4 is explosive, queen d2. Okay. Now in this position, rook c5 perturbed me because I thought he wanted to play rook g5, threatening queen takes g2 mate, rook takes g2 check, bishop takes h3. So I made a very, very bad move here. Now it doesn't lose, and in fact, it's the reason why I won, but it's not a good move. In fact, to be perfectly honest with you, if I was playing this game today, this move wouldn't even occur to me. So I guess I'm better now, but my results are worse. All right. I still have the advantage by making any reasonable move. I played h4. Obviously, it stops rook g5. The engine says this is equal now. All right. It wants him to play rook d5, but he played queen e4. And I played rook to d8. And here, I'm very slightly better. Maybe equal. He should play rook to c8. It's forced. And he blundered. Well, he has two moves, rook c8 and rook takes rook. Rook takes rook is a blunder. After rook c8, I play rook d4, and I defend my pawn. I attack his queen. That pawn doesn't look too good. White's better. And he blundered by taking. And obviously, the reason he took is he missed my next move. Now, to give some psychology to underlie the situation, whilst you guys tell me what the right move is in the chat, it's white to play and win. I think during the game, it was obvious based on the way you could feel your opponent was he was the strong grandmaster and I was a FIDE master. So he's trying to win and I'm trying to draw. So he probably wasn't thinking worried about my moves. He was trying to get a winning position and he was just hoping that I wouldn't trade all the pieces off and draw. For example, queen d4 is an equalizing move, and otherwise he's probably better, but I have a winning move that he didn't see. Not too hard. Puzzle battle, pretty easy one, I think. Okay, queen g8 looks like a typo. Right, queen f8, that is correct. Yeah. And I'm threatening mate, and I'm threatening his rook. Now, he's actually very lucky because obviously he didn't see queen f8 or he wouldn't have traded rooks. And now it looks like you resign. It looks like I just win a rook. But he has one move that saves him where he only loses the exchange. So let's see if you guys can find that in the chat. Whilst I have a drink. Rook 3-5. It looks like an E. Right. And normally I would be able to win somehow like with f4, but e3 is hanging with check. So I have no choice. I have to take that rook. Okay. And technically this is winning, but I'm a FIDE master. He's a grandmaster, so my technique isn't great. Okay, I play queen d8. The engine likes it, defending my pawn. Queen b2. I play queen d1. The engine likes it. He took my pawn. Queen c2 check. Engine likes it. Play queen d3. The problem is if he moves his king to the back row, he's got to watch out here for his weak back row. So the engine doesn't like queen d3. It would prefer that. Oh, now it says it's okay. Okay, and I traded, and rook c3 is a good move, and he can't save his pawn. He's got two passed pawns, one for each of me. Okay, and we're getting close to the position that I show my students a lot. Actually, it likes the way I'm playing. It actually says that I'm playing fine. It's strange for me. can't take the bishop because he queens. He can't play king h4 because I played rook h7 mate. So he has to go back. Okay. And in this position, and again, this is when I was a lot younger. A lot younger. So it's funny, I thought my technique was bad, but my technique was good. All right. Now, here I calculated all the way to the end of the game, and I have about 8 questions to ask you. There's a lot of puzzles that are left. And my calculation was correct because I used to be 19. I checked. He played king to c7. And now the question is, can I go here and win or here? And then he's going to do that. And my calculation was correct. Okay, here, king b7, here, here. Okay, and this position here, I've shown to 100 students. I've shown in chess camps. And what I do for lower rated students, like under 1800, for example, is I give them this position and I give it to them as homework. And then when we have the lesson next week, they have the answer. And about half of the students would say that white's winning, and they would write down the answer. And the first move that they wrote down loses for white. This is a problem that non-professional players have with chess, is with accuracy. And by accuracy, I mean accuracy for your opponent. And when you analyze, whether it's in a game or if you're doing some work and you have hours to analyze, or you're physically moving the pieces, which I told them they could do, often the main mistake students make is finding their best moves and not finding good moves for their opponent. So for example, right, rook takes a2 is correct. This is actually a difficult, this isn't easy, right? Okay, now a lot of my students would suggest a move like rook a8, and then their analysis was here, here, queen, and I played here, and they were like, oh, now white resigns. And even though I gave them a week to do it, they didn't see that move. Now, in my students' defense, all of my students who got this wrong, normally, and don't think we don't know this, normally when you're given homework and you have a week to do it, we know that you did it 5 minutes before the lesson. You didn't take any time on it, and you didn't put a lot of interest in it. And we also know when you do a lot of work and put a lot of variations and so forth. So I think a lot of the students who played here, they didn't take a lot of time on the, they didn't take hours. They took a minute or something. Okay, now a funny story to tell you. A friend of mine who's also chess player, chess coach, 2400 USCF, he had some position, I don't know the position, and he said, what do you think like white should do here? And what do you think the plans are for both sides? Not this position, some position. And one of his students brought back unbelievable answers. And the student was like 1300. He was one of his weaker students. And it was like really good analysis, excellent analysis. And my friend said, how long did you take on the homework? And the guy said, oh, I don't know, 13, 14 hours. That wasn't the answer he was expecting. Most people took 15 to 30 minutes on it. But the guy who took 13, 14 hours, he had the best answer. So you put work into it and so forth. Audrey Apples gifted a sub. How do you like them apples, Mike? Okay, hello. So I played rook takes. Okay, now we're going to vote in the chat. You can vote for e6 or king takes g5. And a lot of you already made up your mind. I saw some answers in the chat. And the reason you made up your mind is you didn't analyze the best moves for black, which is what we were just talking about. But I've already seen this. That's right. Okay, turns out king takes is a draw. And not only is it a draw, every move draws. My engine's like this draws, this draws, this draws. The easiest draw is to go here. Then, white can't do anything. I mean, that's like the end of the analysis. But even if you don't do that, moving the king anywhere draws. Okay, e6 wins. And a lot of the analysis that I gave over the last, 30 years is bishop takes, king takes, and white wins, which is true. But bishop takes isn't a good move. A good move would be a bishop move where you can control the queening square. So one of these moves. So this is what my opponent played. And then here. And now the question again, do you play king f7 or king takes g5? If you've never seen it before, what most people do, and as a chess coach, it's one of the reasons you quit being a chess coach, is the students just guess. They're like, here, no, here, no, here. I'm like, show me, you got to show me. When I ask you a question as a student, you have to give me the answer, not ask if your answer is correct. It's not correct. I mean, you know the answer, or you're just randomly saying some legal move. Okay. Yeah, the word probably is not, yeah. Okay, so king takes g5 is a draw. And again, black has more than one move that draws, but this is the main line. And then it's a draw. With g6, you take it. Okay, so king takes g5 is a draw. And in this position, I play king f7, and my opponent resigned because I guess he wanted to see if I would play king f7 or king takes g5. And then when I play king f7, he's like, all right. And the main line is, you move the king, and you get this well-known position, and white wins. Black's in zugzwang. Now, this position on the board that you're looking at right now, when he played bishop b3, in my head I said if I check, and this is what I analyzed. And that was the main variation. That was what was going to happen, and so I won. So back then I could see far ahead. Now I can't even pronounce my opponent's name. All right. And so that game was actually well played by me, with the exception of bishop b5, bishop takes c6 in the middle game. That game technique actually wasn't bad. Okay. Now, Gennady Sosonko was a Russian grandmaster who moved to the Netherlands, and he's still alive. And he writes columns occasionally for New in Chess about, Donner and Gufeld and the older players. Sosonko's not active anymore. He's probably close to 80 now. He was a lot older than me, and I'm pretty old. So I'm assuming Sosonko's like 75 now. I don't know. Yeah. And, well, you never heard of Sosonko. How can you possibly care? Okay. Let's see. Somebody did something. 200 senzu. Yeah. The main thing I remember about this game is my opponent yelling at me afterwards. I had another player yell at me after a game for similar reasons. Hastings, 80-89, which was the site of my first marriage, so I got yelled at a lot that week. But I was playing Mark Hebden, the British international master, now grandmaster, and I was a FIDE master. And we played a really long game, and we got to a rook ending, and it was a draw. I mean, it must have been 80 moves. And when the game ended, to shake hands like this guy, and Mark Hebden yelled at me. He said, I'm not shaking your hand because when I offered you a draw, you ignored me. So ignoring people is what I usually do when they offer a draw, unless I accept. I'm not like making noise in the tournament room. So instead of saying, I would like to play or no, I just make a move and hit the clock. But he thought that was insulting, that he offered a draw and I just didn't say anything. Now, in my opinion, when I offer a GM or an IM a draw, it's probably 2 out of 3, they say nothing. They just make a move. So, I mean, it's not like what I did was unusual. But okay, I mean, yeah. So, yeah, this endgame I won't mess up because I'll take and make a queen. I mean, I won't mess it up. Yeah. Vampire Chicken rated with a party of 198. I was very confused how Vampire Chicken had hundreds and hundreds of viewers. And then I realized chess is very popular and Vampire Chicken's the best. And I actually found out recently he is a vegan Vampire Chicken. Thank you, Mr. Chicken. You're the best. Now, if you want to see a real Vampire Chicken, although not really, the greatest chicken thing on the internet, and it kills me to say this, of all the people on late night TV who I don't like, which is most of them, the one I don't like the most, is that true? Let me think about this. It's probably true. I don't hate the guy. I wouldn't watch him. Is Jimmy Fallon. Okay. I don't know. I don't like Conan O'Brien either, but I just assume Conan O'Brien's funny, just can't have his own show. Anyway, so Jimmy Fallon did 2 things that I like, which it kills me to say it. First one is he had Chris Cornell on, and Chris Cornell sang, the Bob Marley song, which I can't think of now, Redemption song. So go to the internet at some point in your life, type in Jimmy Fallon, Redemption song, Chris Cornell. That's great. Okay. The other thing he did was he dressed up as a chicken along with several other famous people. And they basically made chicken noises to a song. And that was actually very funny. They sing the whole song as chickens. Yeah. So the Vampire Chicken, I'm sure, knows about that. Welch's Grape Juice just subscribed. Good. Yeah. Right. Now, I can't say anything bad about Jimmy Fallon because, the guy that used to run his show is going to run my TV show. But anyway, yeah. Conan O'Brien didn't write The Simpsons. He was a writer on The Simpsons. That's right. Yeah, Chris Cornell sings Redemption song. Yeah, that's right, for Jimmy Fallon. That's funny. Yeah, Conan's a good writer. I'm just saying I can't watch him do TV. I can't do that. If one of the things I thought about doing was quitting the chess center, not working here anymore, going to become a police officer, go police academy, graduate, be a police officer, and then go arrest Chris Cornell's daughter for singing. I thought about doing that. And I think that's for the greater good, but I felt bad once he killed himself. I mean, Chris Cornell killed himself when I was in Detroit. So I feel in Detroit. So, that's terrible. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Was Jimmy Fallon the only answer? There it is, Pat Buchanan. Yeah. Those are all terrible. Well, Jimmy Kimmel's the best of those people. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Pleads the 5th. You bought the vote. Okay, we should be on Chess TV now. Hi, Chess TV. If we're not on Chess TV, hi anyway. Now, what was the song that Jimmy Fallon was making fun of? It goes, I belong to you, you belong to me, you're my sweetheart. Except he's doing chicken noises. What's the name of that song? Let's see. I didn't talk bad about Detroit. I go to Detroit every day. Let's see. What song am I talking about? Anybody? Yeah, it's the Lumineers song. Yeah, hi Chess TV. The Ho Hey Hey Ho song, but with chickens. Now that's actually funny. So Jimmy Fallon did 2 funny things. So here's my question. Serious question. On Family Guy, when Meg goes on SNL and then Peter beats up Jimmy Fallon. Was that Jimmy Fallon? Did he play himself on that episode of Family Guy? Sounds like something he would do. Anybody? Jimmy Fallon does do a good Neil Young. That is true. That was good. So he did 3 funny things. Yeah. Anyway, I'll probably be on his show soon, or he'll be on my show. Whichever's funnier. All right. Hello to Chess TV. What we're doing today is we're looking at 20 years of Queen C2 Nimzo-Indians by me. You missed the first game. That's your fault. Also, you missed these huge raids I got. Vampire Chicken. He's the best vampire chicken I know. And I thought somebody else raided me, but now I forgot. Maybe I imagined the other raid. I think I did imagine the other raid. That's pretty good. Yeah, exactly. By the way, if Karen's watching, and if she's not watching, it's still okay. When I was watching Curb, one of the first scenes I saw today, he was sitting at his desk or something, and then he had Perrier and he had Stella at his desk. And I was like, did me and Karen make this show? What's going on here? Okay. Yeah. Scheduled to be on in an hour. That's incorrect. Yeah. I should be on right now. Yeah, somebody check and see if I'm on now. I'm not scheduled to be on in an hour. I'm on now. Yeah, Japanese tutor. You're not on? All right, let me... Yeah. Let's see. Let's see, who else can I tell? I don't know. All right, I did all I could, which isn't a lot. Who's on now? What? Let's see. Well, I told them, but if Karen and Trying to Learn could tell them too. Yeah. All right. I mean, it's every Tuesday, 9 to 11. What? It said so on the thing too. Like it said I was on. It didn't say I was on now, but the schedule for today had me at 9 to 11. That's, yeah. All right. So now we'll go to the next game. Oh, I wish I had an Ostermeyer wiener. Then everybody would love my position. Let's see. Yeah, everybody follow up. Yeah. I mean, they should bump other people, not me. Yeah. Something. Let's see. No, nobody uses Internet Explorer. That doesn't exist anymore. Okay. So, in 1989, 1990, and possibly 91, I played in the Bundesliga. I played for Dortmund, and I think I scored 12 goals that season. Oh, no, wait, I was playing chess. And there's a guy named Peter Ostermeyer that nobody's heard of, unless you're German, 30 years ago. And he was a lower-rated player. I think he was higher rated than me, actually. But he wasn't a grandmaster. But my teammates said, in the Bundesliga, this guy's a monster. He never loses. He always outperforms his rating. He doesn't play in a lot of tournaments. He just plays Bundesliga. Nobody's ever beaten him. You know, you might as well just not even show up. Okay, and so they gave me a good pep talk. You know, that was, yeah. Okay, so I had the white pieces. Yeah. And queen c2 nimzo-indian. Now in this position, grandmasters played a3, and then they started playing e4, and now they play both. And I've never played a3. I played bishop g5 forever and ever and ever. Then I played knight f3. I played a little of e4, but then I'm sort of back to knight f3. But bishop g5 is the move that I used to play, okay, which I don't play anymore. c5, e3, h6 here. Now what black should do here is take on d4, play either b6, bishop b7, or knight c6, d5, and black's fine. My opponent played d6. This setup with c5, d6, e6, I don't think is good against bishop g5. I think it's too passive. Okay, so I played bishop d3 and knight e2. Usually I don't get to play knight e2 in a nimzo, I get to play knight f3, but here I got to play knight e2, so I can move these pawns, my knight can take back, and he can't harass my knight, ever. So I like the knight on e2 better. And he did play e5, and I think positionally this doesn't make a lot of sense to waste time and play this and not have your bishop out. And my knight's on e2. If you're going to play this pawn structure with black and nimzo-indian, I think it's imperative that you've already messed up your opponent's pawn structure. Then you're sort of blocking his extra pawn in the middle, and you're taking advantage of his pawn structure. I mean, I can always take with the knight or the queen, so I'm just going to get two bishops here, and I'm not going to have a messed up pawn structure. So I think the whole line is bad for black. Okay, now, having said that, I'm looking at the engine now, which you don't see unless you're using an engine, and it says I'm up 1.6, which seems a bit excessive. But you can see I don't have any material advantage, and it looks like we're just playing normal chess, and the engine already thinks I'm winning. Because, he's weakening all his white squares, and I haven't messed up my pawn structure. So he's got nothing. Yeah. And so forth. Let's see what's going on in Chess TV. And what's going on in Lunch Lady Land? Let's see. Yeah, not good at answering. That's for sure. All right, well. What are you going to do? Jay Wolfen subscribed. Hooray! They had one job to do and they couldn't do it. All right. So I castled. And problem with black's position is if I move this knight like to b5 or anywhere, then this bishop is not, that's no good. So he took, which the engine actually does, and I took with the knight. And he played rook to e8, which is a very bad move. The reason it's bad is if I ever play knight takes d6, well, you don't want your rook on e8. And if your queen ever goes here, you don't want me to play knight c7. And if I ever attack down the f file, you don't want your rook on e8. Rook e8's a very bad move. Okay, it looks like just a normal solid move, but rook's actually better on f8. Okay, I played knight b5. I mean, how are you going to stop this? If you play rook e6, I'll play d5. If you play queen e7, I have a fork. So, I mean, just very bad move, rook e8. He played g5. That way, knight's not pinned at least. I play bishop g3. And now you can play knight f8, and your queen defends the pawn. Rook d1, winding it up on the bubble up. And the engine already says I'm +3. So this idea he had with d6, e5, knight bd7, that didn't work out. Okay, he put it in h, knight h5, takes. Obviously, if he takes here, I can play bishop h7 check and get his queen. And here, I made an anti-positional move because this isn't a positional kind of game. Now I'm winning tactically. and I took with the f pawn because I want to open it up for my rook, which is definitely worth it. Obviously, if I take this, I'm winning. So he sacrificed his queen. The engine says I'm +6. I mean, I'm winning all over the place here. I got everything. He took, I won his queen. And here I'm just technically winning. I could play knight c7 to d5. I could play queen e4. But I was in a very aggressive move, as you can tell from knight b5 and f takes g3. So I played the most aggressive move, which is what? I'll ask you guys a question. Was sacking the queen the best move? The engine says I'm +6, 7, 8, no matter what he does. It's as good as any. It's not too good. Let's see, and they're just getting ignored. All right. That's unfortunate. Da-da-da. All right, shocking that. That's right, rook takes f7 is correct. Okay, and he takes, he played knight f8, I'm sorry. I can't remember stuff that happened so long ago. Right, now he should take, and then I take this, and I mean his king's no good. He can never go to e8 or e6 because this wins a rook, although king e6 is the second best move, it says. King f6 is the best move. This is just the engine line. I mean, I'm +9, so. And then queen h7. I like this just repeating. That's good. Good analysis. It does repeat, so I like that. This is a move that I guess I would play because the engine says you should take it. If he plays king e7, I got this going. I mean, he's just losing all of his pawns. It actually wants him to take this, but okay, this isn't sensible. All right, so after rook f7, he played knight f8, rook e7, bishop g4, knight c7, knight d5, queen f2, and here he resigned. He has to play bishop h5 to stop mate, and then queen f5 is completely lost. So that was one of my easiest wins in the Bundesliga, possibly my easiest. And they scared me before the game, saying this guy never loses and he's the greatest. But he didn't play very well that game. So that was one of my easier wins. Go queen c2 nimzo-indian. It can't be beat. It was a theory win. Yeah. They have you from 10 to 11 on the schedule. Well, I mean, I have 9 to 11, so they're got to change their schedule. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, they said there's a mix-up. They give me an extra hour on Saturday. All right. It's a mix-up. I'm on 9 to 11 every Tuesday for the last 8 months. And it says on the schedule that you guys don't see, that the streamers see, I'm on 9 to 11. Yeah, I'm like Seinfeld. I got bummed. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm supposed to be on for 2 hours Saturday, and I'll be on for 3 hours. It's only slightly infuriating. Yeah. All right, back to whatever it is I was doing. Yay, I won. Somebody asked, did I ever lose a game in the Queen C2 nimzo-indian? Yeah, but I'm not showing those games. I've lost games in every opening, even ones I haven't played. All right. Now, the next game is not the best played game, but it had a nice ending. So, can't say no to a happy ending, so let's have a look. Okay, this is a Swiss FIDE Master at the time, and this game was played in Budapest, I think. No, Prague. No, Budapest. No, Prague. I think it was played in Prague. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, Prague. And this game was played in 1990. I guess since I never played chess in Budapest, it wasn't played there. That would make sense. I guess if I never played chess in a country, the game probably wasn't from that country. Makes some sense. Okay. Do I play the Budapest defense? I do not. Was it in Buda or Pest? It was in Prague. Yeah. Okay. So, again, Queen C2 Nimzo. All right. And my opponent castled. I played Bishop G5, which I don't play now. B6, E4. B6 isn't very good, I don't think. Knight C6. Okay, and here I sacrificed a pawn. Yeah, just castling is a good move, and White's has a big advantage. Really good position for White. But I played Knight F3, which is a pawn sacrifice, which he should accept, and it's fine for White. It's just really exciting. So he played G5 and G4, and Knight takes D4. And this pawn sacrifice, when it is played, it's usually an accident. It's more common that White didn't see G5, G4, Knight takes D4 than White was intentionally doing this. Now, having said that, Stockfish likes White. It says this is a good pawn sacrifice. It prefers White in this position because Black's king is obviously very compromised. Okay, Queen D2, saving my queen. Couple of threats. Played C5. And I was going to say the problem with taking on H6 is he can win my rook, although the engine says I can take on H6 and that he shouldn't take the rook. You know, I have Bishop H4 and it's a big attack. After Queen H6, it says I have a big advantage. After Bishop D3, it says I have a winning advantage. It actually hates this move C5 and him taking this pawn. But I played Bishop H4, which is a very, 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 very bad move. Very. Okay, and now I'm losing. It's just a blunder. So Bishop D3 is very strong. Queen H6 is good. Castles is okay. This move I just blundered. Now what's funny is, if he doesn't punish my blunder, then I'm winning. And I've discussed this on the stream here many times, that at the lower levels, when the engine says +3, +4, +5, that's because some guy's up a piece. You hung a piece, your opponent took it, and it says you're +4 for your opponent. And the game goes on and you lose. Often at the Grandmaster level, not that either one of us were Grandmasters, but we're okay. The engine says +4 because we missed something. And if the opponent doesn't play the +4 move, then we're equal or better. But we just missed a tactic. this is a good example of that. I probably overlooked my opponent's ideas because, I was, 20 years old. And if my opponent doesn't play these ideas, then I'm just winning. So I was like, yay, I'm winning. Then, I didn't see that move, which happened to me a lot when I was younger. Yeah, etc. Let's see. Yeah. All right. No, it's okay, Karen. I talked to the guy. I don't know why I'm not on. I'm on for 10 to 11. There's no reason why I'm not on. I don't know. I'm always on 9 to 11. Anyway, I'll be on 3 hours Saturday instead of 2 hours. All right. I guess. Okay. So he played the winning move, which you guys were supposed to. That's right. McDonald got it. Well, Queen C7 hangs the knight. Knight takes E4. Now, if you're the audience, and obviously you're the audience, otherwise who am I talking to? Then you're confused because all the pieces are hanging. And the engine says black is just winning. Okay, so I'm losing because I probably overlooked the tactical niceties of knight takes E4. Okay, so I'm down a couple of pawns and all of our pieces are hanging. Well, I don't want to trade queens, so if I take the queen and he takes the queen, I'm down 2 pawns and the queens are off. So I took on H6, and once again, my position's fine if he doesn't play the winning move. And he has one winning move. He has one move where he has the advantage, otherwise he's dead lost. At the top level, which this is not the top level, but at the top level, this is a very common thing. Grandmaster A loses to Grandmaster B because Grandmaster B made a move that A didn't see and A thought he was winning. And then he's like, oh, there's 33 legal moves. I didn't see that one. I'm lost. At the lower levels, that's not usually the case. Usually you hang a rook, you're down a rook for 20 moves and you resign. All right. Let's see. Queen takes A4 is illegal. Let's see. Nobody suggests. Oh, McDonald suggested the right move again. Okay, knight F5, aka knife F5. All right. All right, and now I have one move where it says I don't resign. And I played that move, Queen F4. Okay, and he played the right move. And I played the right move. So now I'm down a pawn, but he's completely winning. And his next move was really bad. Really bad. And after his next move, I'm fine. The best move is D5, and then I'm dead. He's attacking my queen. He wants to play D4. I'm down material. I'm just crushed. If I take the pawn, because I'm greedy, I want to take a pawn, then he plays knight to D4, threatening knight C2 check. The bishop's coming to E6 with tempo, and this says I'm dead. It says I'm completely lost. It doesn't look completely lost, but I believe the engine. You can see why he didn't play D5. It doesn't look as good as the engine says it is. He played Queen F6. This is a very bad move, and now it's about equal. Okay? I castled, getting out of this pin, getting my king out of the center. He played bishop C3, and now the engine says all zeros. Now I'm down a pawn. This is hanging. This is attacked. If my knight moves, he's got this action. All right, and somehow it's all zeros. He played D6. That's one of the all zeros moves. I took, which is correct. He took, which is correct. Now he's threatening queen takes C3 check. So I played king B2. And here, he should play queen F4, attacking F2. I don't see a way to defend F2. So the engine says black is better. It wasn't a big fan of king B2. He played bishop D7, which is a mistake. I took a pawn. Bishop C6 is a good move. He wants to play rook A8 and come get me. Queen C7, which is another bad move, it says. Bishop E4. Now it says he's doing great. Bishop E2. And in this position, bishop takes g2 is the best move, but this is an example of tunnel vision. A lot of people aren't looking for the best move. They're looking for the best move that meets the criteria they've set for themselves. So let me give you an example. If you're the coach of an NBA team, what you should do is say, well, these are my players. What can they do? And what a lot of people do, even some NBA coaches in other sports, is they say, this is how you play the game. That's what you guys are going to do. And actually, the guy who runs Kid Chess, he's also a basketball coach. And he says, all the basketball coaches for children tell their kids to shoot three-pointers because that's what they're doing in the NBA now. The kids can't shoot three-pointers, so it doesn't work out very well. So you should do what the kids can do, right? The kids can't dunk if they're 4 feet tall, so probably telling them to dunk that's not going to work. So my opponent, he was like bishop here and queen here and rook here and Papa John's. Okay, he's going to attack my king. My king has no defense. And what he should have done is said, well, Ben played here, so I can take this, attack the rook, attack the bishop with check, and so forth. And the engine says black is better. Not winning, but better. But he played rook a8 because he's doing what he's doing. He's not doing what's right. It could be what he's doing is right, but it wasn't. It was right to take advantage of bishop e2. Okay, now the engine likes white. Rook he1, I'm ahead material. This pawn's hanging. This pawn's hanging. I'm up the exchange. My rooks are in the center. My queen's okay. He doesn't have a forced win. So, okay. Now he should play rook a4, but he played b5. Okay, rawr. And I played the obvious move. So this is another task for you guys. What's the obvious move? What's the obvious move for white? Now it could be bad, but it's the obvious move. Bishop d3 is correct. Right. Okay. So bishop d3, and then he's got some issues. Now when you play bishop d3, you have to calculate accurately. Basically, there's one move you have to calculate. Black doesn't have a lot of moves here. Okay, so what do you think black is going to do after bishop d3? If you were white, what would scare you? Well, d5 hangs the queen, but since you give a double X claim, I assume you were kidding. All right, and then Plo Crew got it right. I pronounced his name wrong. b4. Okay, but I'm not afraid of that. Rook takes e4, queen takes c3, always play king b1, and then obviously b3. And I'm assuming when my opponent played b5, this is what he saw. And when I play bishop d3, this is what I saw. And this is why, again, and this I'm part of the lower level here, and I am now. At my level and lower, and probably a little bit higher, you're getting games where both players calculate, and if they're right, they win, and one of them's wrong, because, somebody's got to be wrong if you both think you're winning. And when I'm playing Rufus and Doofus, because of the percentages, because of the implication, I'm always winning. And what happens is, sometimes, not often, but sometimes, I'm losing. And somebody would say, well, Ben, if you calculated that you're winning and your opponent calculated that they're winning and you're a grandmaster and they're 1200, why were you wrong? And one of the reasons I'm wrong is that they're wrong so often that when I think I'm right, which is usually the case, I'm not surprised in the least bit that they're wrong because they're usually wrong. You see what I'm saying? If they're right, I'm like, whoa, they were right. Like, that's shocking. Now, the best example I have, and I have many, is Ray Robson. When I play Ray Robson, I don't play him anymore, but I used to play him. I've played him maybe 10 FIDE USDF rated games in my life. We'll play Ray Robson, and he makes a move that I previously thought was bad. My first thought is, darn, I missed something, and replace the word darn with other words that I can't say on the stream. And I look, and I'm like, oh, that's why I'm wrong and he's right. I can't play the line that I thought I could play because Ray has this trick I didn't see. That happens all the time. It happened a lot with Ray. So I'm always hoping Ray didn't play a move that I thought was bad because that means that I was wrong. Okay, now in this instance, since I'm 20 years old and everybody's checkmating everybody and he's sacking a rook and so forth, this is one of the things I was good at. I'm not good now because I'm old, but when I was 20, I could calculate forced variations, and that's how I became a grandmaster. If you can't calculate, your rating doesn't get too high. You blunder a lot. Okay, so I'm reading the answers in the thing there. Okay, and there's 3 winning moves, and what's funny is you guys suggested the other 2 winning moves, not the winning move that I played. You guys got me good. Okay, and the winning move is A4. Okay, A3 also wins, and then rook takes G4 check wins as long as I play A3 or A4 next. Okay, so now I'm up a rook, and I'm threatening rook takes G4 check. The engine knows that rook takes A4 loses, but a human knows that not playing rook takes A4 loses. So the engine says rook takes A4, sees a mate for white, plays another move. The human says, if I don't play rook takes A4, I'm down a rook and I'm going to lose, so I'm going to play rook takes A4. That's the human, right? The engine plays queen G7, defending this pawn, queen A4, queen C6, defending and attacking, and says I'm plus 7.5. A human's not going to do that. A human's going to play rook A4 and hope that I'm not winning. You got to hope something. En passant is the best, but this game was played in 1990, and the en passant rule was invented in 1991 in honor of my son's birthday. Or your birthday, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Nightbot. The only way black can take en passant is if you don't know the en passant rule. That's the only way. All right. Yeah, actually, if he takes en passant, then I would castle over here and get my king safe. Also true. Okay. Exactly. Isn't any queen check just crushing after rook takes? I think I understand your question, and the answer is yes. Okay, so he played rook A4. I played rook G4. Okay, now the engine plays queen G7 because that staves off mate the longest. If king F8, this is mate, so he didn't do that. If king to H7, I take this, and then, mate, whatever. It's all mate. Everything's mate. Okay. So he played king H8, putting in an H, queen D8 check, and he has one legal move, but he just couldn't find it, so he resigned. Okay? Which is very insulting. When somebody's mating you, you shouldn't resign right before mate. You should let them mate you. In fact, in my match with Ray Robson from 2011 and or 12, I forgot. I think it was 11. When he was mating me, I let him mate me because I think the crowd likes that. Okay, after king H7, the only legal move, and a shock to the audience, and you guys are the audience, white actually has mate in one here. Knight G7 instead of king H8 is fine. And then I have 3 different checkmates in one. All queen moves are checkmate. So knight g7 doesn't last the longest. Okay, mate in 1. Right, and the guy who thought a queen was a W is correct. Right, queen h4, not triple question mark, triple exclam. Checkmate with advantage. Which obviously should have been the end of the game. Then he could have checkmated me, and the game would end in a draw by FIDE rules. Also queen a1 mate. So I mate you, you mate me. This is a few years before Barney. Yeah. All right, and then he resigned in this position. A very exciting game. That's right. Bam. Very good. All right. Also, another train. Don't forget that. Let me take a small break between games. All right, what happened here? 300 centidues. From Celestial Alaxon, he donated a sub, and then 300 centidues from Pinky Jim. All right. Did you just play this game? I just played this game in 1990. Yeah. If you look at the title of the stream, which some of you can't do actually on a phone or something, it says 20 years of the Queen C2 Nimzo, 1989 to 2008. I hope that's 20 years. I don't know. Another train, 100 centidues, 50 centidues. Thank you. He was a good sport. Right. 100 centidues, formerly 5IT. All right. Let's go to the next game. For those of you who just showed up or are slightly confused, I changed the format of my stream because I play really bad chess now. And so the streams are going to be leaning towards me showing openings and old games and stuff like that. Lecture style, where I just teach you stuff. Because, teaching, I'm like 2,900. But playing, I'm like 900. So why am I playing? Right? I'm like the opposite of Kasparov. Kasparov was 2,900 when he played, and now if he teaches, he's like 900 at teaching. So I have to teach. Okay. Now, this is a game with Balashov, which some of you know. And of course, if you unscramble his name, it's Shabalov. Very important. 200 centidues. Hooray. All right. Brain hurty. All right. So this game was played in the last round of Capelle-la-Grande, okay, which is a French tournament, which they still have. It's in Capelle-la-Grande, which is a suburb. Let's see, where's my Twix so I can get a second here? A suburb of Dunkirk. Man, what a terrible memory I have. 300 centidues, thank you. Yeah. Okay, and the organizer used to be Michel Gouvard, which is a man. I don't know if he's alive or still does it. I know somebody from the organizing committee died recently. I hope it wasn't him, because I know him. Anyway, that's one of my favorite things that happened to me in Europe. I was a FIDE master, and it was 1989 probably, unless it was 88. Could it have been 88? No, it was 89. So in 89, and I didn't realize this until the last year that I played. This is very embarrassing. If you're in Brussels and you want to go to Capelle, which means that you're going to Dunkirk, you take a Belgian train or two to a border town. You take a bus across the border and you're there. It's very quick. But I didn't know that. Somebody told me that like the third or fourth year I went there. You just take a train in Belgium, you get off the train, you go across the border and you're in Dunkirk, basically. And I just took trains to Dunkirk, so I was like on 3 trains. And it took forever because I didn't realize that, that was what you did. Anyway, so I get there, and I'm a FIDE master, I'm 2380, and the organizer says, hey, the American IM who was supposed to show up, he can't make it. It was Leonid Bass, who I've heard of and you haven't, and he lived, I think, in Spain. He was an American IM. I mean, he wasn't originally from America, but... And then I played him in America before you guys were born, and he couldn't make it. He said, so the guy said, do you want his conditions? And I was like, instead of nothing? Yeah, I read Newsweek instead of nothing. So I got free hotel, free food. They had meals there for the players, free. And they gave me money. And here's some appearance fee money. And here's some tickets so you can buy snacks. So free snacks, free meals, appearance fee, and free hotel. And I was like, yeah, I'll take that. So that was like the greatest thing ever, because as a FIDE master, you don't get any of that. But the other guy already had it. He didn't show up. And I was American, I guess. So, all right. And that was, I think, the year before this tournament. I think. Unless it was this tournament. So I'm playing Balashov in the last round. And we both have 6 out of 8. So this is round 9. 9. Okay, Balashov, famous Russian grandmaster. He's so famous that, out of the 627 people watching, 7 of you heard of him. Now, the other funny thing about this is about 20 years ago, I'm going to say. About 20 years ago, approximately. I was on ICC, the Internet Chess Club, which somehow still exists. Shocking. And I was doing puzzles. They have a puzzle thing. You do one puzzle after another. And a puzzle popped up, and I said, oh, that's my game with Balashov. So I solved it. Now I wouldn't solve it because I can't remember. Okay. And so you've seen this puzzle before. Queen C2 Nimzo, every game in the lecture. Okay. Solid. And if you remember when I played Ostermeyer, which was before this game, it was like E5, knight E2. Okay. He played Queen A5. And this has a little more punch. And it reminds you, well, it reminds me of the Cambridge Springs. Because the queen's on A5 and the bishop's on G5. I wanted to play knight E2, but now I got to watch it because queens move sideways. If you've watched a lot of my streams, in a lot of Sicilians, after bishop G5, queen A5, I explain to the audience, my opponent will now hang his bishop on G5, and they almost always do. Okay, but I didn't do that. I played knight F3. Okay, takes. I can't take with the knight because my bishop is still hanging. Takes. And this is a strategical puzzle that I give all of my students. I forgot there was a train. Thanks for the anonymous 300 centidues. We're going to need 5 subs in the next 30 seconds. Who's going to step up to the plate? Also, I saw something funny today on, was it Twitter? No. Where did I see it? Oh, I think it was, what's that thing that's dumber than Twitter? I forgot what it's called. Reddit. I think it was on Reddit, but it might have been on Twitter. It said Major League Baseball has announced they will do social distancing between the bases. And there was a big tent set up on second base. So, yay, Grunjwart, 5 subs. Man, everything's worse than Twitter? Damn. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, we should have a vote. What's worse, TikTok, Facebook, or Reddit? I assume it's TikTok. Yay, Grunjwart, you're the best. Twitter is much dumber than Reddit? I mean, I'm 50, so you can't go by what I think. But that actually shocks me. Wow, you guys think Twitter's worse than Reddit. Wow. TikTok has to be the worst. Yeah, it has to be. Also, there's something I've never seen. I've never seen TikTok, but I've never seen Snapchat, but I've heard of it. Is Snapchat and TikTok the same thing? They're both just horrible, and you have to be 12 years old. Once you turn 13, they kick you off? Is that what happens? Facebook is the worst. GM Ben Feingold is great. Good handle. You said Reddit and Twitter are okay? God damn. I never understood. Is Snapchat and TikTok the same thing? I don't know what either one is, but TikTok is worse than COVID-19. God damn. TikTok is weird dances. Let's see. Twitter's the worst. Facebook second. TikTok, Fries, and Reddit. Reddit's better than Fries? Damn. Fries are worse than Reddit? Come on. There's no way. All right. I don't know what Spotify is. I don't know what Instagram is. I don't know what TikTok is. I don't know what Snapchat is. I don't know what nothing is. All right. Don't forget about the train because I forgot about it. Okay, so my question is, which move is better, queen takes or pawn takes? It's a strategy question. And Fries is also possible. Eh, 200 centidues. Thanks, Basic Prect. These players were the best players in the world. Matt Larson just sent me a game between two people in 1862. He's basically just making fun of them. It's like, these guys are the best in the world, and like, LOL. Let's see. Game doesn't look too good. It doesn't look too bad. I don't know why he's analyzing games from the 1800s. All right. Let's see. How did Black not resign there? And he drew. Yeah. All right, good game. I changed my vote to Pat Buchanan. Can I gift you without paying real cash? I'm new to Twitch and don't have any money. What? Could somebody explain what he wants to do? What? You want to give me something, but you have nothing? Is that what you were saying? What? No, he said he wanted to gift me, but then I don't have anything to gift you. That's what it sounded like. He wants to give you money without any money. I need help with that. He wants to give you cash. He said he had no cash. He wants to reward this stream without spending money? What? He wants... I don't know. Yeah, if you're a member of Amazon Prime, you can subscribe to the channel for free, but I still get the money. Is that what he wants? I don't know. Yeah. Just watch the stream. Don't think about giving me money. Also, nobody answered my question. Come on. What should he play, BC3 or Queen C3? What should I do? Yeah. Right, B takes is correct because white has a bad pawn structure and either the queens are on or the queens are off. So if the queens are off, you got a bad pawn structure. The queens are on, you might get an attack because you have the two bishops. Okay, so I have chances for an attack. I have two bishops. My opponent's bishop's not getting out. His rook is trapped. His queen is suspicious. So I want to keep the queens on the board to compensate for my double pawns and isolated pawn. The more trades that we have, the more I'm wondering why I messed up my position. Now, At the risk of insulting Yasser, I'm not insulting Yasser. When Yasser does commentary, he spends a lot of time explaining the positional niceties to you guys. He says, that pawn's isolated, and you're like, what's isolated? Then he's like, those pawns are doubled, and you're like, what's doubled? Then he says, black has a nice pawn chain, and you're like, what's a pawn chain? Okay. What Yasser doesn't do as often is talk about the dynamic potential. Like, white has an attack coming, and even though white has weaknesses, that doesn't matter very much because white's going to crush black. The way Yasser played chess when he was the top player was he didn't get checkmated. If you tried to checkmate Yasser, you couldn't. He played too good. Okay? And then you were like, why does my position suck? Why do I have isolated pawns and doubled pawns? And why do I have weaknesses everywhere? So when Yasser explains chess, he talks about those things that he was really good at, not things that like Nepomniachtchi and Tal and Morozevich and Shirov, not the kind of things those guys are good at, which is like, well, I have a bad pawn structure, but I'm going to mate you in 12 moves, so I don't care. And by the way, to prove I wasn't making fun of Yasser's lifetime record against Mikhail Tal is crazy. It's approximately and or exactly 4.5 out of 5. So Yasser just crushed Tal, okay? So that kind of player, if they didn't mate Yasser, he would just outplay them. Although if they mated him, then, they can get mated. Yeah. But when Yasser's explaining chess, he often just talks about those kind of strategical ideas because you guys aren't really good at that. And if it's like mate 3, mate in 4, mate in 5, or some crazy computer tactic, he just says, okay, Maurice, and Maurice is like mate in 12. And they're like, all right, never mind. Yasser's like, this move wins strategically, and Maurice says mate in 5. And he's like, oh, because, that's not his forte. Okay. The train's not doing very well. God damn. Okay. Man, that scam train is getting scammed. Okay. So now my opponent wanted to play b6, bishop b7, and or b6, bishop a6, but didn't want his queen here. Yay, we got 5 subs from Basic Pract and 100 centimeters from Formally 5 IT, getting us to the next level. Okay, so he didn't want to get his queen trapped on a5, so he played queen c7. Okay, castles. And now, this is where I was really proud of my play. Up until now, like, I play all right? And the engine says I'm better, like 0.5. And this, for me, this is unusual, that I actually played the rest of the game with, great vengeance and furious anger, and accurate and really good. And the reason is I play a lot of Queen C2 Nimzo-Indians, so I have a lot of experience in the Queen C2 Nimzo-Indian, so I know a lot of the ideas. Now here, with my double pawns and isolated pawn, and the fact that my pieces are pointing towards the king side, and I have the 2 bishops, and his pieces are mainly on the queen side, it's time to attack. So I want to move my f-pawn, and rook, and Papa Johns, and arrows, and so forth. Now, this game was played before the internet was popular, so I couldn't draw any arrows on the board. ZS Cool gifted 3 subs. Good. All right. Everybody's gifting subs. 50 subs. Oh, that was earlier. How many subs do I have? Let's see. Stats. Okay. I have 1,880 subs. Good. All right. And then Crummy Cheesecake subscribed. Okay. So watch this move that I played. I played knight to d2. Why? I want to play knight e4. I want to defend my pawn. I want to move this pawn up, etc. Now, I hadn't decided if I want to play f4, f5, or f3, knight e4, and hopefully get this big center. Okay, and I decided here to play f3. Never do that. And now I wanted to play knight e4, but he put pressure on my pawn. So obviously I sang the song, get out the way, get out. And I don't think that song existed yet. So that's pretty good. So I played queen a4, and then I played knight e4. Now obviously, if he lets me take his knight, his pawn structure in front of his king is messed up, and he can't move his knight, because I'll play bishop e7, forking his rook and pawn. Yay, ZS Cool, gifted sub. Thank you. So he did take the knight, and I took with the f pawn. So I got that nice center. I got the two bishops. And I got the f file. So that knight d2, f3, knight e4, fe worked out well. In fact, the engine today doesn't take the knight. It would rather he gets his pawns messed up in front of his king than to give me that big center. Okay, now he blocked the center, Nimzo style, e5. Now, when I was a kid, I read a lot of chess books. Now I don't know what a chess book is, because I'm like, what's a chess book? Oh, there's some behind me. And one of the books I read was by Tal, and he wrote, a book on his match with Botvinnik, and he wrote other books. And I remember against Botvinnik, he did this really cool thing that I did here. Thanks for the 300 centidues. And Yasser actually has a name for this kind of a move, and I've talked about it on stream before. So if you're somewhere on the board and you want to go somewhere else on the board, normally you just go there. So my queen on a4, I don't want it on a4. I want it on g4, h5, I want it around here, right? Well, I can't go through here because that's illegal. And so I have to do what Yasser calls a billiard shot. I got to bank it. Oh, snap. So I play queen d1, exclam, former muscle. He played rook ae8, and I played queen g4. All right, now he didn't like my queen there, so he played bishop c8. He's going to do some, some serious. So I play queen h5. I'm like, all right, bishop c8. And now he played bishop a6. He's really getting his use out of that bishop. He played here, 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 here. And this pawn is basically indefensible now. But if I checkmate him, I don't really care. Okay, so I play rook f3, doing a rook lift. And then I play rook g3, threatening queen takes h6. And in this position, I want to say he made the losing move. Although the engine says it is not losing. The engine says this move is fine. I've never understood this move, and the engine right now is saying the move's great. What's this guy, a Soviet grandmaster? No, he is. Okay. He played f6. The idea is to kill my bishop. His queen can defend this. His rooks can both defend this. I don't like that move. I think that's a bad move. Not because it's f6, but because it's f6. Okay, so I play queen h6, plays rook f7. Now, my rook is overworked. It's doing too much. And it's not my turn. It's not his turn. If it was his turn, he would just take this and I resign. Bishop take, because my rook needs to be there. So I don't want to trade pieces, so I played bishop to c2. Okay, now he definitely made the losing move. Material's equal. I have two bishops. I have a big attack. He's solid in the center. Bishop on c4 is good. My bishop on h4 is a little trapped. Okay, the engine claims that black is better here by playing almost any normal move. Knight f8, b5, which I don't understand. And it actually prefers black, which I don't agree with. My opponent blundered here, and the blunder that he played is the kind of blunder that you would expect from Yasser doing commentary. What I mean is, strategically, this is the right idea. Tactically, calculation-wise, it's no good. It's a terrible move, okay? And so, since my opponent's an older Russian grandmaster, he plays the strategically correct move, but he can't calculate 20 moves ahead. Well, he's older, okay? And you're taught when somebody's checkmating you on the wing that you should counterattack in the center. And he played d5, which is double question mark. That's the losing move for sure. Why did he play d5? Well, he wants to open the center because he thinks my pieces are trapped on the side, which isn't true. And the other reason was purely for tricks. And what Balashov didn't understand, which I'm sure he does now, tricks are for kids. When I took on d5, which opens up my bishop, which makes d5 look quite silly, he played e4, blocking my bishop, getting a passed pawn, wants to take on d5, and now he has a very serious threat that in a blitz game, many of us would overlook. In a slow game, I wouldn't overlook this. Maybe in a bullet game I would, but not in a slow game. A lot of you guys would overlook it in a slow game, then you'd be really mad. You'd be like, and you make weird noises, terrible. That's right. Most of you guys got it. Queen takes g3. My rook is pinning his pawn, so he can't take my queen, but if he takes my rook, then he can take my queen. And e4 threatens queen takes rook. Probably he fell in love with that idea. He was like, I'm threatening this. I'm going to get my pawn back. I got a passed pawn. Papa John's. Okay, so queen h5, defending my pawn and stopping all those tricks that he had. And now he's just losing. He's down a pawn and his position's bad. And he should feel bad. Okay, now he fell apart. Queen c8, keeping his rook defended, which didn't need defending. Rook h3, doubling up on the bubble up. Knight f8. And now this is the move I'm most proud of. The next move, after the move I'm most proud of, will be the move you're most proud of. So I play the move I'm most proud of, then the very next move was the move you're most proud of. So what move did I make? It's too hard for you, so I'll give you a hint. Recommended by Paul Morphy. What would Morphy do? McDonald's always right, but he hung his rook. Terrible. I think LV20 is right, but he misclicked. Isaac Loves Chess is correct amongst other people. I played Rook E1, getting my last piece into the attack. That's actually the engine move. Okay, now I'm threatening this. Now, I remember very clearly, even though this game was played over 30 years ago, or actually 28 years ago, right? 1992, I think this game was. This game was played 28 years ago. When I played Rook E1 and I hit the clock, now this was analog clocks, which you guys don't know what that is, but if you're over the age of 40, you do. Analog clocks, you push a button and it goes up. And so if you're not at your game and you look, you can see which one is up really clearly. So I was walking around at this point looking at the other games, and I turned and looked at my board from 10, 20 feet away, and I saw my clock was up, so it was my move. And when I walked to the board, I was shocked because he played a move that I knew he couldn't play. And it wasn't a Ray Robson he couldn't play, he actually couldn't play it. Like, I knew I was right because it's too easy. It wasn't like, what does Ray see that I don't? What does Yuri see that I don't? It's that he blundered, obviously. Now, if you let the engine sit long enough, and I did, it says I'm +5. So I would have won anyway, I guess, because I'm +5, right? And I'm threatening this pawn. I got an attack. I got 2 bishops. I have an extra pawn. Papa John's. But he blundered, and because he blundered, now you guys can get excited. Rook E1 gets me excited, and this one's going to get you excited. G6, double question mark. And this is the position that 20 years ago on the Internet Chess Club, the puzzle popped up. And I went, well, this is my game. Terrible. Grandmaster Gowrie can't believe it. He's so mad. Right. He's excited, exactly. 876 viewers, but I had 600 viewers. What happened? Oh, I'm on Chess TV. Okay. Yeah. Right, I played Queen H8, and it was the first time in France, it happened in the US already, it was the first time in France somebody dropped a mic and walked away. It was amazing. Yeah. and then he resigned like a grandmaster. For those of you who don't see it, which is about 10%, king takes, double check. So you have to move your king, and then mate. When I walked over to the board and I saw you play g6, I'm like, what? You can't play g6? I mean, I already saw you couldn't play g6. Terrible. Yay, and then I won. So then I tied for like third or fourth, and I got some money. Yeah. GM didn't see this. Have you guys been watching the Legends tournament? I mean, it's like, I'm going to blunder the most. No, I am. No, I am. Come on. Chess is difficult. When your opponent puts a lot of pressure on you and you only have one good move in lots of positions, you make blunders sometimes. Yeah. All right. That was 92, I think. Something. That was 92. Okay, now we skip all the way to 2005. And if you guys are wondering, why is Ben showing us this next game? I think you're going to find out pretty quickly. I think you're going to guess. Bam! Okay, and this was played, was this 2005? Let's see. I'm getting really confused here. Too many windows open. 2005. That's right. All right. And it's against Danny. Go Jan. You're on Chess TV. Hi Chess TV. You guys are the best. Okay, because we're on Chess TV and we've been on for about 7 minutes, this is a game. The theme of the lecture tonight is 20 years of my Queen C2 nimzo-Indian games, which is probably my favorite opening with white, from 1989 to 2008. This game was played in 2005 against Danny Wrench. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm not. This is the only game I've ever beaten Danny that was either USCF and or FIDE rated. Conversely, Danny beat me twice. He also beat me in Vegas, and we have a draw somewhere. And he beat me in Texas Tech when it was, the Spice Cup, in probably the worst game ever played ever by anybody ever. I played the opening wrong with white, and he was much better. Then he was winning. Then he was really winning. Then he was really winning. And when we got to the time control, he was like plus 10. Then the game went on and on and on and on and on and on. And eventually, we got to a drawn rook and pawn ending. Rook and 2 against rook and 1, where he had a pass pawn, but it was a draw. And I made the worst move ever, losing in one move to like a beginner's tactic and resigned. It wasn't a good game. Okay. This game was a good game where basically I was slightly better, then clearly better, and then I ran over him, and then he resigned late, so it was, a pounding. And this was one of my better games because I just played okay. I mean, I didn't do anything dumb. Okay, Queen C2 Nimzo. Not our only Queen C2 Nimzo. We've played Queen C2 Nimzo, me and Danny. I beat Danny in the U.S. Chess League once, but that doesn't matter. Okay, and we played this line, which I've played. Played B6, which is slightly unusual. Okay, now Danny wanted the 2 bishops because what else? So he played knight h5. Okay, and I played bishop g3. That way if he takes and I take, I have the open h file. So maybe I'll castle a queenside. And Danny shocked me here by playing bishop takes f3. He wanted to give me the 2 bishops. Okay, and then he played f5. And he's like, dude, I'm going to play f4 and mess you up. Now, I knew something Danny didn't know, and he still doesn't. And I'm not kidding. So I learned something at the 1994 U.S. Championship. And this game was played in 2005, so I hadn't forgotten it yet. I was black in a Chigorin Queen's Gambit against Yasser Seirawan. And against Yasser, at some point in the middle game, he had a bishop on g3, and I played f5, like here. And he played f4, and I was like, what? Why would you trap your bishop like that? Okay? And he just outplayed me completely. He was winning. Then he messed it up when it was a draw, and then I blundered and lost. And it turned out this was fine. Nothing wrong with this. If the knight stays there forever, well, it can't stay there forever. If the knight ever goes back here, I can play here. And if he takes, I take back. So this is fine. It stops him from playing f4, and white's just better here. It looks stupid, but it's not as stupid as it looks. It can't be. And I knew that this was okay for white just based on my Yasser game. And the engine right now at depth 23 says white's up 0.76. If you have the black pieces and you're not familiar with this, this just looks ridiculous. So probably Danny thought, if I take this and Ben plays f4, that's the worst bishop ever. So I don't care if he does that. Well, if his knight goes here, I'm going to play bishop h4. If his knight stays here the whole game, why is that better than my bishop? Okay, and he has some problems. He has the backward pawn, confusing Farnsley. I still have two bishops. I got this open diagonal for my bishop. I got the g file. What is he going to do? What's his bishop going to do? His bishop's shallow and pedantic. Okay, he played knight c6. That's the engine move. I could castle, but I just played rook d1. I thought my king was safe in the center. He played a6. I could never go here now. He can play b5 later. Bishop g2, threatening his knight because of the pin. He defended his knight. I castled. And he made a funny decision here. The engine says his position's bad here because I'm just going to hammer him here. He took my bishop. And I took back, so I got the diamond pawn structure. Okay, and there has to be 6 feet of distance here between the players. Okay, queen c7, that's the engine move. And now, the only thing I didn't like about my position was this pawn. That pawn always hounds me when I play the nimzo-indian. They're always taking that pawn. In fact, the last game I showed you, he did take that pawn. So I played rook c1, so I could defend the pawn some more, get my other rook out. He played knight b8, setting up for the next game. Okay, he wanted to use these squares and move his pieces around, and he wants to defend his d pawn. Otherwise, I'll just double or triple on the d file, or play queen a4, and I'll take his pawn. So he defended both of his weak pawns. I played knight a4. And I finally played e4. I finally got the bishop. And his position is just lost. I mean, his king has no defense. d7 pawn's bad. His rooks are terrible. His knight's no good, etc. I tripled up on the bubble up. That's the Feingold gun. If the queen was in the back, that's Alekine's gun. Rook f8. Queen c3. I got him here. I got him here. I got him here. Papa John's. Knight c6, he really wants to go there. God damn. Takes, knight d4, takes. I could sack the exchange now, but I played b4 to soften him up a little bit. Maybe he'll take, and I'll take his knight. Maybe I'll take his knight. He has to play d6. And now the exchange sack is very strong. And he's got 4 weak pawns. His king is open. My king is safe. His rooks are, impotent. And his position is terrible. This is the kind of position, the better you are at chess, the more you like white. And I refer you to the famous game Karpov-Topolov, where Karpov keeps sacking his rook. And the final position, he has a queen, bishop, and 4 pawns against a queen and a rook. It actually reminds me of that. Okay, that was played before this, but that was Linares 97, maybe. I don't know, it was the 90s. And the engine says white's +2. He played king f7, defending his weak pawns. Queen d3, attacking d6. Rook e4 is a good move. Yeah, and you just can't defend. A little sacrifice. Bam! Gotcha, Danny. This is the kind of thing I used to calculate really well when there was like one possible move. You always look at a check. He has to take. He played king g7, but I mean, obviously if he plays king g7, take it. He has to take. I pin his rook. He only has one move to defend his rook. I attack his rook. He's only got one move. I take this. If he wants to save his rook, he has to play here, and this wins his rook. So that was like pretty easy analysis, at the time, when you have a lot of time on your clock. So he just played king g7, queen c3, g4, threatening g5. God damn. g5. If I take it, he plays queen takes f2 check. The game is never over. And now I'm going to ask you the last question of this game, since the game ends in one move. How do I interfere with his plans of playing queen takes f2 check? The engine doesn't even think this is the best move, but, yeah, c5. Yeah, and if he takes on c5, then I can take on g5. And the variation I analyzed was takes, 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 check, takes, 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 takes. And I was like, yeah, I can win this. I can do it. All right. That was the only variation of note. So c5, and he resigned. So that was one of my better games, even in the nimzo-indian. But the fact that I was playing Danny is the cherry on top. The truth hurts. Let's see. Is your Twitch page twitching? Probably. Linares 94. I knew it was 94. Even when it wasn't. Okay. Yeah. Go Danny, but stay there. Okay, we got 2 games left. This game is definitely one of my 5 greatest games ever. Definitely. And when I used to work with Gregory Kaidanov, born and bred in Kentucky, and I showed him this game, he said, to paraphrase Hikaru, it's before Hikaru said it, he basically said, I'm not good enough to play this game. Which Hikaru later said in a much funnier way. He said, Hikaru in St. Louis in 2011 said that I was playing better than I was. Then he said I was taking his prize money. That was funny. I didn't realize how funny he was. Okay, that was in the Kings and Queens tournament when I was on fire. But they had a fire extinguisher with St. Louis, so we were good. All right. Now, this might be the best game I ever play, but I don't think so. But it's, it's top 5. By the way, another game that I beat Defermian might be better than this. I have a good score against Defermian. Okay, so Queen C2 Nimzo. This was Chicago 94. Okay, B6 I think is just a mistake. I think this is really good for white. B6 isn't a good move. Always retreat. Rawr H4, showing how confident I was at the time. Threatening bishop H7. Bishop H6, put it in H. Rook H3, rawr. Okay, now when I showed this game to Kaidanov, I remember he was trying to predict what moves I was going to make, and he was like, Rook G3 check, and I was like, no. Next move, Rook G3 check, no. And I was like, his king is bad on G8. He wants to play King H8. Okay, then he was really impressed with my next move. He was really impressed. Where he was like, you're not good enough to play that move. So he was thinking I was going to castle queenside and checkmate my opponent. And I was like, queenside, my king's not so safe. It's safe on the king side and I can still mate him. So I play King F1, putting it in F. That way my rook can go to E1. All right. He played knight D6. I played rook E1 as advertised. Bishop A6 attacking my pawn. D5. Got to pin it to win it. Knight A5. And he took. I played knight D4, threatening E6. And he played E5. And now I had a long think with very long calculation. And it turned out I was right. I played C5, attacking his bishop. Take, takes on C5, knife F5, knife F5, queen F5. I'm down a pawn, but the knight's no good. The double pawns are no good. Isolated pawn is no good. My queen is good. And the engine says it's equal, but it's now that the engine's thinking about it, it said, never mind, white has a big advantage here. Okay, he played knight c6. Get his knight back in the game. Knight d8. He wants to go to e6 with his queen or his knight. And I played rook a4. King h8, rook d3. Okay. And he played the move c6. And now this is the move I'm proudest of. This is one of my 5 proudest moves of my life, is this move. And I remember how proud I was of the move, but of course in 94, engines weren't so good like they are now. And I haven't looked at this game in a long time. The engine says this is by far the best move. And Kaitanov said I'm not good enough to play this game. So let me explain to you what I was thinking, because thinking is not my strong suit. I was thinking, if I play rook a6 and he plays queen to b7, what's the line I was looking at? It had to do with taking, he takes on d3 with check. Now I don't remember what I was looking at. Rook a6, queen b7. Now I'm getting confused, as per usual. Okay, I'm sorry. I was thinking my opponent's going to play knight e6. That's why he played knight d8. And I said, well, if he plays knight e6, I can play rook a6, attacking this pawn that heretofore his knight was defending. Then if he plays queen b7, queen takes knight, queen takes rook, queen takes rook, queen takes rook, mate. I can't mate him because queen takes rook is check. So I played king g1, which is the best move. And now he played knight e6, and I played rook a6, and now the variation ends in my favor. And then everything's mate. You can't not mate him. Okay, so that was the point of king g1, was this idea that has any punch anymore. Okay, and he played knight e6, and I played here. He attacked my rook. I retreated. And now this was very funny. Even though this was a long time ago, I remember Nick picked up his queen, went to go to e8, and then realized what he had done and put it back, and then you got to go to e8. There's nowhere else the queen can go. If the queen goes not to e8, I take your knight on e6. Once he touches his queen, he has to go to e8. And that was his intention, but he realized it was a bad move while he was playing it, but there was nothing to do at that point. Now the engine says, I'm up 2.1. He should go here, I take it, I take this, and his position's ridiculous. Okay, but queen e8 hastens the end. Hastens the end. Queen e8, and the reason queen e8 is bad is the queen on e7 was doing something. Now it's not doing it. Ow. So now I can punish him. Insane in the membrane. Anybody? What do I do now that he's played queen e8? That's right, Bonarici. Rook d6. His queen was defending that, but now it's not. Okay, so he has to play here. Takes. And obviously white's winning here. Put it in H. Takes. He played for one last trick, and you can vote in the chat. In the chat, you can vote for queen takes rook or king h2. Vote in the chat. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Queen h2. God damn. I'd like to point out king h2 got more votes than queen takes rook, and king h2 is a blunder. After king h2, he plays queen takes h6 check. And it says white's up 1.8. So maybe I still would have won, maybe. But now we have to trade queens, and I have to win a long endgame. Queen takes rook wins immediately, because if he tries to get his rook back, queen b8 is mate. So here he resigned. It was quicker. Yeah. Yeah, that was, I really played forceful that game. I calculated well. 1994 was really my year. I gained a lot of rating points. I tied for first in the U.S. Open. I tied for second in this tournament. I only lost to Tony Miles in like 85 moves. Yeah, 94 was a good year for me. Then in the U.S. Championship, I got crushed. God damn. My first U.S. Championship. Damn. Getting beat. You were born in 94. Good year. 900 viewers a do. Guess this format's better. Okay, and last but not least, I tried to end at 11. It looks like I'm going to end at 11. Was against Dmitry Gurevich in the 2008 National Open. And there's several funny things about this game, but I'll tell you the funniest before the game starts. My friend Will, who watches the stream a lot and donates occasionally, about 2,000. He plays the National Open almost every year, and I played almost every year. Used to. And the tournament ends on Sunday, and sometimes there's a poker tournament for the chess players, or the chess players just playing poker. This is at the Riviera. The Riviera would alternate between having a poker room and not having a poker room. But anyway, the Monday after this tournament, or the Sunday night really late, my friend Will was playing poker, and Dmitry Gurevich was at his table. And Dmitry told Will, he didn't know Will, but he knew he was in the chess tournament. And Will's like, I'm friends with Ben Feingold. And Dmitry's like, I played Ben in the last round. And then Will said, he said, Ben said you played well. And he said Dmitry was like pleased with that. Like gushing, like, oh, Ben said I played well. I mean, he was higher rated than me. He was a grandmaster and I wasn't. But somehow the fact that I said he played well made him feel better. I mean, to give you an analogous situation, if like Gelfand beat Carlsen, and then Carlsen later heard Gelfand said that he played well, what? Carlsen would say, oh, Gelfand said I played well. Great. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So anyway, Dmitry was telling people, Ben said I played well. All right. So basically ridiculous. No, not Will Aramil. Will Aramil's a lot higher rated than the guy I'm talking about. Let's try to get to 1,900 subs since we have 1882. 1,900's a nice, Okay. All right. So I'm white in a queen, c2 nimzo, obviously. Okay. c5. Now, this is a variation that I believe was invented by Vaganyan? Or was it Romanician? I think it was Vaganyan. The ardent pathos subscribed. Very pathos. Takes, you can't play bishop g5, as I've shown many times on the stream. Check, and then queen takes bishop. So you play knight f3, and now this move is pretty rare, but I faced it a lot in the 80s and 90s. Queen b6, because he's threatening this, and when I play e3, I can't get my bishop out. Now the queen's stupid here, because I have a3, b4, knight a4, but he's just like, whatever. He's going to play a hedgehog by putting his bishop back and hedgehogging it up, and I can't get my bishop out. Okay. Fine. So b3, bishop b2. And what I like to do with white in this variation is play g4, g5. Although I was a little reticent to play g4 now, so I played h3, put it in h. And then I played g4. Okay, the engine says white's a little better. He played b5. Okay, very good. g5. knight h5. So the knight's defending the g pawn, so I don't have any tricks here, but the knight can't move. Now, at this point in my career, I was pretty good at chess. That's why Dmitry was glad that I said he played well. And I tied for first in this tournament. It's one of my 2 National Open tying for firsts. And had a really good understanding of chess like I do now, except then I could calculate, and now I can't calculate. Now I would play queen g6, and I'd be like, oh, the f pawn, oh, the h pawn. Okay, that's what I would do now. But back then, I realized I don't want to win the knight. I want to keep the knight trapped forever. If I win the knight, I win the knight, but I don't care about that. I just want the knight trapped. So I played rook g1. This is the engine move. It gets out of the pin, helps keep the knight trapped. He played h6, putting it in h. I want to keep the knight trapped. Now, the engine doesn't like my move here. The engine wants to take stuff and beat my chest. Okay, I played h4. I want to keep that knight trapped. Still says I'm better. bc4, bc4. I can't take with the bishop because my knight would be attacked. Knight c6. Okay, now in this position, I wanted my king in the center because I didn't like it anywhere else. And I wanted my queen and bishop to line up here. So I played rook c1, and I was going to play queen here. And, you know, my c pawn's protected, my isolated pawn. And his knight's trapped. His king has nowhere to go safe. Fine. Okay. He played rook c8. I played queen b1. And he played rook b8. Okay, very annoying. And now I was really proud of myself. Really, I mean, what I did now was fantastic. And I got a chance to do it again last year. I played a 2300 player in December last year in a tournament in Atlanta, or I guess it was in Marietta. And I played a very similar maneuver. And when the game ended, I told him that I did it against Dmitry Gurevich. In that game, it was knight b1 to d2. In this game, it's knight e4 to d2. And the Feingold defense, with black and the Smith-Morra, the key component for black is to not play knight c6, but to play knight bd7, basically for the reasons that are given. It's also the same in the Breyer Ruy Lopez, where you play knight b8 to d7. I want my knight here. That way my knight's protected, my c-pawn's protected, and my bishop can get out. Here, my rook's blocked, my bishop's blocked, my knight isn't protected as much. And I played knight e4, which is the engine move. And after he trades and played knight b4, attacking my knight, I just go back here. And the engine says I have a big advantage here. Because now this is quite nice. My queen has a1. This is all defended properly. And my king's safer than his king because I have the pawn on g5. I got the bishop on the diagonal with his rook there. And it's a big advantage for me now. Queen can go to a1. All right. He played bishop a8, unleashing the latent potential. I kicked his knight out. And I played queen a1. Okay. I think he should play king f8. The engine says he just has a bad position. He played bishop f8. Always play bishop f8 and setting up for the next game. I didn't like his rook on my bishop, so I played bishop c3. Stops queen a5 also. He played d6, which is a mistake. And I correctly played c5, and I switched it on him. Notice I had an isolated c-pawn, and now by letting him take my isolated c-pawn, he has an isolated c-pawn, and I opened this up for my bishop. d6 is a mistake. He just overlooked c5. I'm going to take this, or I'm going to take this. Takes. Now he has an isolated pawn. My rook's on it, and my bishop escaped. My bishop was blocked by the c-pawn. Now it's very good. He played rook to d8. I pinned his knight. He played rook h7, which is terrible. g6. And g6 is beautiful, because if he takes on g6, I don't take with the rook. This is why it's beautiful. If he takes on g6, I play queen b1 because I want to take with a queen. You hear me talking? I ain't through with you by damn sight. I'm going to get medieval on your ass. So after queen b1, I mean, white's position magically is just like the greatest position ever. All my pieces are great. His king is getting crushed. My king is safe. Queen g6 is winning. So finally the g5 pawn had something good to do. And his play just wasn't very good at that point. Although I said his play was good, that made him feel better. See, I'm a nice guy. Yeah. Okay, he played rook h6, defending his pawn. Rook g6. I want to play rook takes rook and queen g6 check. He played bishop d6, knight g5. The e6 pawn is indefensible. And knight f4 just doesn't make any sense. He just gives a piece away for nothing. Here, even though material's equal, the engine says I'm +9. Because knight takes e6 is strong, rook takes rook and queen g6 is strong and mate and winning a knight. This knight's pinned. This is strong. Yeah, I mean, he's just getting totally crushed. I don't know why he gave a piece away. That was weird. They play king d7. Not really related to losing his knight. Knight e6, forking his queen and rook. He pinned. Rook takes check. If he blocks with anything, I win his queen. The reason I don't win his queen is my knight's pinned. If he blocks with the bishop or the... Well, I can't block with the knight. If he blocks with the bishop, I take his queen. Blocks with the rook, I take his rook and take his queen. So he has to play king c8. And now, I'm sort of like a professional athlete because professional athletes always want more. So I didn't play rook takes c7 check. What did I play? Anybody? Anyone? Yeah, knight f4 is not a good move. Bishop a6, that is correct. Says violin and viola and can 64 and etc. Yeah. And that, my friends, is the worst position anybody's ever had ever. So that was a really nice game to win. It was like board 3 or 4, and I tied for first. But that was one of my better wins. I have a lot of good wins in Queen's to Nimzo because I have so many games in the Queen's to Nimzo, I understand a lot of the ideas. But I really liked my knight e4 to d2 there. That was the idea I was the most proud of because that let the whole position flow at that point. There was flow. Yeah. Man, bishop a6, the truth hurts. There's good. There's good. What's the line? Oh, there's good and there's no good. Black's position is no good. And the engine announces mate, obviously, because I'm going to mate him. That's a good reason. Yeah, that was one of my most crushing victories, which you need in the last round. That's when you need crushing victories. It was the game crushing versus victory. A3 is unprotected, but he's not attacking it. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. 600. Great game. What year? 2005? I don't know. I'm too old to know. 2008. That makes sense because it said, you know, the name of the lecture, 2008. Yeah. And so forth. All right, any questions? Anybody? No, nothing. Now, since we have some time left, when I was in Belgium, I played a guy rated about 1900, approximately. And now I would take, but I played knight f3. And he played b6, exclam. And I played queen a4 check, and he resigned. Yeah, you don't play d5 and b6 when your bishop's on b4. That's risky. That was one of my quicker wins of the queen c2 Nimzo. Yeah, one of the quicker ones. A lot of times in positions like this, similar positions, people are like, why don't you check and win the bishop? And I'm like, knight c6. And they're like, oh. And queen a4 check, knight c6, and a lot of Ragozin variations is just normal theory. Right, but it doesn't win a bishop. I mean, obviously, if you can go here. So, yeah, that was unfortunate for my opponent. Isn't this a QGD? It is not. This is a nimzo-indian. Yeah. Could have been a QGD, but QGD I like with the bishop on e7. Otherwise, I consider this the nimzo-indian-like. Those can all transpose. But, yeah, d5, knight f3, b6, Papa John's. Show us the Nimzo Spassky Fischer 1972. You mean with bishop takes a4? That Fischer won with black? I don't know that game. Terrible. That's right. It was monotonous regularity. 888 viewers to do. Where's Dominic? Dominic, where are you? We have 888 viewers. This is your time to shine. Yeah, that's right. It's all of those things. If Dominic's not here, I'll be furious. Who cares if it's 4 in the morning? Come on, there he is. Ha-ha. As soon as you showed up, it went to 869. Terrible. Yeah. I guess all we can do now is another train. But not really. Yeah. So the Queen C2 Nimzo obviously was played by Capablanca a lot. And then after Capablanca, nobody played it very much. And then Yasser started playing it a lot. And I started playing it a lot. And somehow it became the most popular line. Probably because Kasparov started playing it. But, I mean, basically, between 1920 and 1980, there was Capablanca and Yasser. Otherwise, people were playing, E3 and A3 and knight F3. And Queen C2 wasn't the most popular move. Now it's easily the most popular move. Now there's so much theory. Too much theory. Frankly, it's a terrible amount of theory. Horrible. Oh, I want to show you another game that I won. And it was in 2001 at the National Open. And my opponent was 21-20. And it was round 1. And there were about 700 players in the tournament. And my game was the first to finish. In the whole tournament, this was the first one done. It went here. This is like a really boring variation. Okay, and he castled. E3, and he played here. And now I thought for a while, maybe like 4 or 5 minutes, and I took this. Okay? And my opponent thought for 1 second. The time control is 40 moves in 2 hours, and then game in an hour. So thinking for 1 second and making a tactical move, not a good idea. Not good. After knight c6, the engine says it's equal. Okay, and that was the move that I analyzed the most. I thought I was better. The engine doesn't agree. And he played queen d4, obviously. And if you're playing somebody rated 2600 in a slow game, and they think for several minutes and play queen c7, you don't think for 1 second and play queen takes d4. Terrible. Okay, looking at the thing. There's the thing. Queen takes c8, and the game's over. He played queen e3 and rook here, and he played on to like move 22, 23. I guess he felt less embarrassed, but he moved instantly. And then he resigned. My favorite variation is if he plays knight c6. It's my favorite variation ever. I play queen takes a8, which is the best move. That's a very funny move. Mr. Ginseng gifted 5 subs. Hooray. Yeah. Queen takes a8 is very funny. Yay, 5 subs. Yeah. So yeah, this is just winning. Queen takes d4 is a blunder. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the guy was over 2100 and he played this instantly. And I'm like, what? That loses, I saw that. Come on. So that was one of my funnier wins in the Queen C2 Nimzo. You don't see that very often. Another quick win I had was against a 2150 player named Robert O'Donnell. And this was about maybe 20 years ago. He played queen d5. And I played knight f3. And the main move is to take, but you can also play queen b3. And here c5 is the main move, but you can play knight c6, which is what he played. And I played bishop to d2, and he made the losing move here. No, I did not play bishop d2. There is no losing move here. I played a3. This is where he made the losing move. I'm like, that move doesn't lose. Like, oh yeah, it does. Yeah. This is really cool that he made the losing move here. So the engine says white's slightly better here no matter what he does. He made a move that loses. He played bishop d6. All right, white's a play and win. Yeah, what's the winning move for white? All right, several people in a row got it. e4. If the queen moves, then e5. If you take, which he did, bishop d3. Now, when I played e4, I analyzed knight e4, bishop d3, like every legal move. And the funniest move, which he did not play, is knight to d2. Because white only has one good move here, otherwise white's close to losing. Probably, yeah, white's losing, but white has one winning move. Right, it's king takes d2. The only winning move, otherwise black's better. So he played knight c5. I think he took this. I think he took with the queen. I castled. Let's see. I remember I won this pawn. So he resigned, like I did this, and he couldn't play queen e7 somehow. That doesn't make any sense. I'm pretty sure he took with the queen. Somehow I won another pawn like 2 moves later, and he resigned. Then I don't know how it happened, but yeah. So yeah, I won that game pretty quickly against a high-rated, guy's pretty high-rated. Yeah, e4. That'll show him. Yeah, bishop d6, no good. Any move is better than bishop d6 because after e4, there's no real threat if he moves his queen away. But with bishop on d6, then I obviously have a threat, frankly. Yeah, it might have been something like that. Yeah. Here from Fortuna Chess Coach's chat. Hello. Hello, chat. Well, if you keep losing stuff, then, queen b1 isn't better than bishop d6. That is correct, Ecstatic Broccoli. You are the ecstaticist. All right, let's try to get to 1,900 subs before the stream ends. Maybe I have to donate some subs. 1,888 subscribers. We need 12. No. That's a good question, Wino84. I did the reverse. I got my IM norms in Europe and my GM norms in the US. So in June of 1988, I moved to Belgium and I was a FIDE master. And between 88 and 90, I got all my IM norms and I was an IM January 1990. And then I moved back to the US in 1992 and I got all my GM norms in the US. Thanks, Dira Ka, for gifting a sub. So, Komonosaurus tricking me again, accidentally donating 1,000 subs. My first GM norm was at the World Open in 2002, which I actually exceeded by half a point, which I didn't know. I thought I had to draw my last round to get the norm, and I did very quickly. And then Carol Dregge said, oh, you already had the norm. So I tied for first. I drew Yusupov, Onishuk, and Smirin, and I beat Boris Kryman and Pavel Blatny, and I got 3.5 out of 4 against like 2,300s. My second GM norm was in Chicago. It was an 11-round tournament. I had to win round 9 to get the GM norm, and I did. And then I drew round 10, or did I win round 10? To get the 10-round norm and drew round 11 for the 11-round norm. Oh no, I drew round 9 against Jacobian. That was my 9-round norm. Then I won round 10 against Al Chow. Then I drew Jesse Cry in the last round. My third norm was at Texas Tech. You can actually see a video of it. I needed to draw Danny Wrench to get the GM title in the last round. And actually, it was round 8. It wasn't the last round. I had another round to go. And then he needed to beat me to get the IM title. So when we drew, I had the GM title. He needed to draw the last round to get the IM title, which he did against Ray Robson. And Ray Robson needed to beat Danny to get the GM title. So everybody was playing for norms, and the only person who didn't get a norm was Ray Robson. So I became a GM one tournament before Ray Robson. Then Ray Robson went to Uruguay, and he won every game and got the GM title. That was like 2 weeks after the Texas tournament. So I became a GM. The next day, Danny became an IM, and 2 weeks later, Ray Robson became a GM. Although I am like 70 years older than Ray Robson, but I'm not the one on trial here. That's right. Blah, blah, blah. Donate. I will become a GM too. Man, what happened to Kilmanosaurus, who was like, he was teasing the audience. He's doing less teasing now than usual. Yeah. Cliff Clavin never got a norm. Terrible. If you get that joke, it's even more terrible. Yeah. Who's going to be the world champion next? Man, the way Ding's playing, I want to play Ding. God damn. I don't know. A lot of juniors are okay. I guess Fabi's good. He's not a junior anymore. Nobody's showing the most promise ever. So I guess we'll find out in a few years if there's ever a world championship again. Yeah, there's nobody that I think has a clear advantage over anybody else. There's just a lot of 2,700 players. Yeah. Yeah, Farouja's good, but everybody's good. Like again, blitz chess and rapid chess isn't, the most important thing for becoming the world champion. He has to play in a lot of slow tournaments against players 27-50 and over, and that's tough to do now because there are no tournaments like that. So if he wants to get better at 5-hour games, got to play some 5-hour games against the top 20 in the world, which he isn't getting a chance to do. So it's not clear. A lot of these guys who are between 16 and 21 years old and they're 2,700 FIDE, a lot of them peter out and they don't get any better. Wei Yi hasn't gotten a lot better. Bacro never got better. Jeffrey Zhang's over 2,700. Maybe he'll get better. But sometimes they get to 2,750 and they stop. I don't know why. It's better to keep going. But it's hard because everybody's, there's a lot of good players out there. Truth hurts. Yeah. COVID. Yeah. Engines don't really play like humans. It's frustrating playing an engine because he's losing all the time. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was going to complain 2.5 hours ago and I forgot. And I just remembered. Grishuk 1 or 2 days ago was opining about whether Magnus was the greatest ever. And he said, well, he's passed Fischer and Karpov, but not Kasparov. Man, these players today love Kasparov. Now, I like Kasparov, but I don't like Kasparov more than Fischer. Not even more than Karpov. But I don't know what he did to pass Fischer and Karpov. Man. No, I put Fischer, Karpov, and Kasparov ahead of Magnus, and a lot of the Super GMs just say Magnus is 1, and some of them say Kasparov is 1, and they never list like Karpov or Fischer or Morphy, Capablanca, Tall, Botvinnik, Smyslov. They're just like, to them it's just Fischer, Kasparov, and Carlsen. Everybody else can go away. That's the way a lot of the Super GMs think. Karpov's pretty good. God damn. So, I don't put Carlsen ahead of Karpov, Kasparov, or Fischer. But I thought it was weird to say he surpassed Fischer and Karpov, but not Kasparov. A lot of people think that way, that it's either Kasparov or Carlsen. I mean, I don't know why the best player who ever lived is living right now. What about people who were good a long time ago? A long time ago. I mean, based on this Rapid tournament, you know, when Magnus is playing Nepo and Lyco and, you know, then you seem better than them. He's better than Gelfand. God damn. Much better than Gelfand. So, I don't know. I mean, I guess Grishik said something funny a few months ago. He says something funny every day, obviously. He said, Morphy, no, I would crush Morphy. He said, Fischer, that's another story. He says, I don't know about Fischer. So, I mean, Grishik realizes how good Fischer was. Fischer in 1964-ish said if Morphy were alive today, he'd be the best player in the world. So I don't know what Grishik's talking about. The only people who have a really big opinion of Morphy are like me and Fischer. Everybody else is like, Morphy's no good. Terrible. Also, didn't Fischer win 20 games in a row against GMs? Didn't Magnus draw 20 games in a row against GMs? God damn. Fischer gets a lot less credit than Kasparov unless you're an old guy. And when I say old, I mean older than me. You talk to chess players who are in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, they're big Fischer fans because they saw what Fischer did. They know what happened. And people today, they're like, yeah, I heard of Fischer. He's dead. There was a movie about him. Next. They don't know. They're like, yeah, I heard Fischer was good 50 years ago. It was good 50 years ago. I mean, what do you want? Fischer won 11-0 U.S. Championship. He won 20 games in a row. He won candidates matches 6-0 against Larson and Taimanov, and he crushed Petrosian. He spotted Spassky 2 games and beat him easily in the World Championship match. Who passed Fischer? What are you guys talking about? Rawr, I'm mad. Now let's get back to Morphy. Fischer was world champion 7 years. What? Fischer didn't play any games as world champion. What? Where'd that 7 years come from? 20-year peak, Kasparov. Man, everything you wrote was wrong. All right, shocking. Basically, go Fischer. Yeah. Go Morphy. Yeah, so you guys agree. It's Fischer and Morphy. Yeah. You blame Fischer for going crazy? Can you blame the person who went crazy for going crazy? I guess. I don't know. All right. I'm already getting kicked out. The guy's like, oh, yeah, I missed it. Karen's been texting me. Man, that was an hour ago. All right, Dangerous Dave subscribed, giving us 1,889 subs. So I guess we're going to end short of the 1,900 subs, but we'll try to get it tomorrow. The new streaming schedule, Karen put up on the stream today on the away screen. So I have a schedule every day that I stream now. Tomorrow is Wednesday. I think that's 9 to 11, but I wouldn't bet my life on it. Probably 9 to 11. Yeah, and I think Thursday's 5 to 7. Friday, probably 9 to 11. And then I don't know, and then I stream some days. I don't know. Yeah. All right, see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Also, etc. Mainly, etc. We'll get more subs tomorrow. Thanks for donating and subbing and cheering. And mainly, etc. Don't forget that. The only thing that matters when you watch this stream is